Phase two, driving traffic to your website. I'm a little behind on time, but I'm going to keep going. I'll let you know at the 45-minute mark. So, phase two is driving traffic. And the key here is there are many ways to drive traffic, and you have to see what works for you. So, people ask me all the time when I lecture, David, I spend this much on Facebook or this much on AdWords. Is that good? And the answer is, I have no idea. And it's what works for you. I can tell you now that I live on TempGrip as my cement. And if someone's going on vacation, I use Durolon and lubricant. Now, someone else might not like TempGrip. I have plenty of people that I work with. They use Tempbond and they're very happy. And they use Tempbond NE and they're very happy. I just don't. It's just, just what I use because it works for me. So when you drive traffic to your website, the goal obviously is new patients. And in truth, I don't care how you get there, whether it's through organic SEO or social media or whatever you have to do to drive traffic to your website. Maybe you write an article in a newsletter every month, or it's a client of mine who's a pediatric dentist, and she writes an article, I think every quarter or something, in a community magazine that links back to her. Terrific. Anything you do to drive traffic is what you want to do. So, search engine optimization, we're going to skip a little bit, but the idea is everything that you do with search engine optimization and with AdWords and all of these things is to drive traffic. So organic search is based on the content of your website. So you can take a look here. If you did a search for used car dealer, this is the organic information. That's totally based on what Google sees on your website. Paid search is AdWords. Well, there are other programs, but AdWords is the most well-known one. That's where you make an ad and you pay when people click. So look here at Tom's Ford. It says what happened here is that Tom's Ford set up their AdWords and basically said, hey, when someone does a search for used car dealer, put our used card up there. And so did Hertz, and so did VW, and all these other companies. How you rank on there is out of the scope of this discussion, but that's really what AdWords is. So organic search is based on what page does Google think is most relevant about used cars, about used car dealer, and those are the ones it picked. Again, we're going to be doing an SEO webinar another time to get into how that works. But you can't pay for this at the bottom. You can't pay to move those. However, if you look at these where it has paid search, there is, how you pay is part of that and part of the formula for how you get on there. This is just an overview of search engine terminology. We don't really need to get into that too much. So, foundations. People get nervous, and I see it I see it a lot. Oh my gosh, Google's changing its algorithm. What are we going to do? And for people like you and me who are doing what we're supposed to be doing, we're not buying links, we're not scamming, we're not doing your best every day, writing articles or writing pages on your website, whatever you're doing. Generally, you do not have to worry about algorithm changes. Algorithm changes are really designed to weed out the cheaters. And sometimes when Google does do a change like that, and they find that it does screw people up, they will reverse it. Hold on, there was one question here. All right, somebody asked about on-site and off-site linking, so I will come back to that very quickly. So on-site SEO and off-site SEO. And what that is and I'm happy to stay after to talk more about it. On-site SEO are things you do on your website. So the title tags, the header tags, H1, H2, the alt tags, your keywords, the speed of your site. Those are all things you control. Off-site SEO are things you don't control, like who links to you, how old is your domain. If you're in Canada, you should probably have a web host in Canada. If you're in the United States, have a web host in the United States. So what winds up happening is if you've done your on-site SEO properly, that's great. But once you're at a point where all of your competitors have off-site SEO, then becomes more of an issue. Okay, so in terms of off-site SEO, link building is one of those things. There's an entire webinar I did actually, was it the month before last? You can jump on shorthilldesign.com under resources and find that webinar. And there's a separate webinar where we have a Q&A with Justin Morgan, the dental marketing guy, who talks to us about links, which is great. He answers a lot of questions. But basically, links are popularity. And if someone links to you, that means you must be popular. That's a gross oversimplification, and I encourage you to look at that webinar for more details. But the idea is that if one website here on the left links to this website number 2, that makes number 2 more popular. And these are, of course, glasses of link juice, and we don't really no one calls it that officially. That's kind of what we call it behind the scenes. But obviously, site 1 seems to have a lot of link juice, a lot of popularity or authority, and by passing that authority, that link to site number 2, it does help site number 2 become more authoritative, which is why those links are hard to get. So what I tell all of my clients, and I'm telling you, is to get the free links you can. Now, not all of them pass link juice, but certainly it's absolutely worth getting them anyway. And that's the ADA. If you're an AGD member, get it. If you're a member of a specialty organization, AAP, APD, any of those organizations. If you're involved in the Academy of Pros or the the Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry, any of that stuff. Local Chamber of Commerce. The local Chamber of Commerce usually will link to the members, they'll list the members and link to them. Get the link. I don't know if it's going to make a difference, but certainly it can't hurt. Same thing, any volunteer organizations. There was a client of mine who he and his wife did some of the gardening for their church. And on the church's website, it said, "Thank you, Dr. and Mrs. Such and Such, for doing the gardening work for our church and this and that." And they link back to them. And that's great. And of course, newspaper or print articles. If you go to the kids' school and you do a little talk to the kids about cavities and toothbrushing, and maybe online on the PTA website or whatever it happens to be, they say, "Hey, Dr. Wenk went to the school and talked to the kids about brushing teeth." Then on the bottom, it says something along the lines of, "Dr. Wenk is a dentist in Tribeca, and he loves treating kids. Visit him at www.whatever." And that's a great link also. Okay. The last thing I want to talk about on drive-in traffic, and this is new, is lead generation. It's something that I just started to do. And real quickly, the problem is that everybody has a site that's, they're trying to build a site to Google standards. They're doing SEO. They're doing keyword research, which we've discussed in January's webinar. And now what I'm doing, and this is a test program, is that we are testing this. And so basically, what lead generation is, you want to offer services to people who want those specific services. And that's nothing new. If a denture patient comes in, you're not going to offer them whitening. And certainly, and if a patient with a full dentition comes in, you're not going to give them samples of denture adhesive. So anybody who might be interested in a service is called a lead. And we don't usually call them that in dentistry, but in marketing, we call anyone who wants something from you is a lead. And lead generation, of course, is how do you generate these leads? How do you get their attention? In your office, when you put the whitening brochures or the cosmetic dentistry brochures in your waiting room, you're doing lead generation. And what this lead generation is doing it online. So what we're offering now is lead generation with implants and Invisalign. So what happens is so what happens is, 1, you decide what you want to promote. 2, you figure out who might make a good lead. Certainly, denture patients are not good leads for Invisalign. And then you offer them something to grab their attention, whether it's a downloadable guide about Invisalign, we call that a lead magnet, or a list of common questions and answers, or an educational email series, just as an example. So what we're doing is, here's how it works with our dental implant marketing automation campaign. So basically, the visitor does something, and in our case, they visit your website. They visit your website, and after a certain amount of time on your website or on your implant page, a sign-up pops up that says, "Hey, would you like to learn more information about dental implants?" They sign up, and they become a lead. And then what happens is, they receive an automated email campaign. So over time, a series of relevant dental implant emails go out to them, generic, with your logo and your branding, and the click to contact us goes to your website. But the idea is that they teach them about implants, introduce the practice, encourage them to call you. And what this does is it kind of works in the background for you. So if someone's browsing your website, after a certain amount of time, a pop-up comes up and says, "Hi, you want to learn more about implants?" They say yes, great, and automatically you're going to start sending them personalized emails. Right now we're doing 3 at a time, or a series of 3. that are very they're not aggressive, they're not marketing emails, they're informational with a gentle nudge to contact us if you have questions.